And we're back. This is the QB Lab podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jake. This is my co host, Zach, and we are talking the greatest position in all of sports, the QB position. Before we get into it, before we tackle everything, please like and more importantly, subscribe to our channel. We are growing. It's slow, but it's steady, and we appreciate all the support. Keep on giving us that and smash that subscribe button. And we got a lot to unpack, of course. This is the biggest weekend in all of NFL. Biggest week, I guess. Super Bowl week, baby. We got a ton to talk about. We got two great quarterbacks in this matchup. One that is an MVP candidate and one who's got basically there were no expectations for him. Sam Darnold, no expectations. Drake May, low expectations. And both of these guys have really exceeded. You know, with Drake May being, everything he's done, both in the season and somewhat in the playoffs. And then, of course, Sam Darnold, what he has done in the playoffs, very impressive, very surprising, I would say. And when I look at this game right off the bat, for me, I like Sam Darnold more than I like Drake May in this matchup. Couple reasons here. I don't like Drake May specifically because I do know that the Seattle Seahawks have been particularly good under McDonald's defense, under his, regime. His defense has been incredible against first and second year quarterbacks. I believe they're 6-0 against young quarterbacks, so they've been really impressive. They've been great at getting pressure. And as we've seen in the playoffs, Drake May has actually not handled pressure nearly as well in the playoffs as what we saw during the season. Relying on his legs, things haven't worked quite as smoothly as I think he would have liked. Of course, he had the shoulder injury against the Broncos, so there's some question marks there. But ultimately, I don't love Drake May in this scenario for that. And then I love Sam Darnold in this situation because I think he's really got an offense that outmatches the Patriots defense. I think they have a good defense. I don't think they have a great defense. And I think as we've seen from Darnold in the playoffs, if they can get that run game going and get him out in play action, he really is a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident, and a lot less careless with the football.
Yeah. I think that overall Seahawks win this game. Drake May, though, calling him out for just being young is a bit of a I don't know if I love that stat you're pulling out there. Like, sure, Mike McDonald has some pretty insane defensive schemes, but you're talking about a guy that's what second in the NFL in touchdown passes. He's doing great and complete. Like, this is a guy that obviously he hasn't had the craziest competition, but this guy is performing at like a top 10 level. I think throwing him in like that stat of first year quarterback is doing him a bit of a disservice. But look, I can't disagree with the fact the Seahawks defense looks phenomenal. And the Seahawks week to week is a team that's growing. Like, this is a team that it feels like they're on a run of destiny. And every week, Mike McDonald does what he does as a great coach to whip these guys into shape. I don't think the Patriots will have faced as complete of a team as this one. And I just think that this is very much feeling like a coronation for Sam Darnold as someone that had a crazy underdog story, got drafted by a fragile organization, a joke of an organization like those 3 years for the New York Jets, found himself for the Carolina Panthers having some difficulty before finding a real home in Minnesota, and Minnesota making a mistake that cost the GM their job of letting Sam Darnold walk before Sam Darnold had an even better season with Mike McDonald. And I think this is going to be a real story of resiliency that every athlete is going to be able to hang their hat on for the future. This is going to be one of these underpinning stories in modern NFL history where a quarterback that everybody was writing off because he had two bad losses in a Vikings uniform comes back, wins a Super Bowl, has multiple 14-win seasons in a row. I think only Tom Brady can make that claim. And Sam Darnold, I think, is going to be. I don't think he's particularly talented or particularly like a game changer, but he's an elite game manager that makes Mike McDonald's offense hum in a way that's good enough to win a Super Bowl here.
Yeah, it's a lot to talk about there because really, and I'm the best person to talk about this because I have hated Sam Darnold for years. I thought he was done. I just like you said, I wrote him off. Didn't think there was anything there. Yeah, go ahead.
On that, just real quick before we do that, we did our contenders and pretenders. These two Super Bowls that are in the Super Bowl were on my contender list. I just want that on the record.
Fair. Now I had one, so I was 1 for 2, 50%. It's something. But yeah, I mean, look, Darnold, I wrote off. I mean, I wrote him off years ago after what we saw with the Jets. And yeah, even with the Vikings though, I still always had my doubts because I go, well, he's had so many bad seasons. How is he really legit? You don't see stories like this very often where a guy has not just a little bit of success, I mean, no success with the team, looks awful, continues on, kinda continues that awful streak, somehow gets a 3rd opportunity that he turns into something good, but doesn't quite take it to that level, and then, of course, this is his 4th really good shot, and this time with a very complete organization, very complete defense and offense, great receiving court, he's got it all, the great coaching staff, and he's proving me wrong and millions of people who said Sam Darnold was junk. And, another piece that we do have to at least mention, and I think the world is pretty shocked about this, and I can't believe I'm going to say it, but Sam Darnold is in the Super Bowl before Josh Allen has ever reached a Super Bowl. I don't think I ever thought I would say that as a Bills fan, but even just as an NFL fan, it's pretty shocking that he's the guy, not Baker Mayfield, right? Not Lamar Jackson, not Josh Allen, but Sam Darnold from that draft class. Not Josh Rosen, but Sam
Yeah.
Darnold is going to the
Yeah,
Super Bowl.
I've got one that's even I've got a couple that are even more shocking than that. At least from my point of view. First is Drake Maye's in before Josh Allen, and they're in the same division. But the one that I find even more shocking of someone that got to the Super Bowl before Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. Now, I don't think people are talking about this narrative enough. I don't think the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl. I think the Seahawks win by at least 3 points. That's what I'm officially putting in. But if
Mhm.
Stephon Diggs wins this Super Bowl in the same year that he catches these accusations around the strangulation, the assault, whatever it is, and gets 4 different women pregnant, then he will cement his legacy as like the Michael Jordan of Tyreek Hills. And if he wins, like I'm not gonna say like life is meaningless, but whoever is running this simulation, it's got to be like a 14-year-old boy that's trying to optimize for chaos here. Like I'm not gonna be upset. I'm just gonna wonder if I've misunderstood the relationship between cause and effect my whole life. This Stephon Diggs situation, I can't watch him hoist a Lombardi trophy. The Seahawks are going to win this one. I think it's either going to be, the type of situation where people underestimated the Patriots defense and potentially Drake May's abilities. And it's something where, Seahawks get a field goal out of it, or it's a type of thing where that Seahawks defense comes in, slaps Drake May around, this thing's over by halftime. It's either one of those two options. And no matter what, Stephon Diggs cannot win a Super Bowl the same year that he's had.
Think when I look at this, I personally think the Seahawks are going to win by 7 or more. I don't think it's not going to be close. I actually think it's going to be close. I don't think they're going to destroy them in the first half. But I do think that they are gonna slap Drake May around a bit. He's gonna feel the pressure, he's a young guy, and I think he's gonna probably have a slow start to the game, make it a game by the end, but they're going to come up a little short. Like, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a good Super Bowl. I think it's going to be interesting, but I'm really, really curious to see how Drake May handles himself against such a good team. Like, that to me is actually the most interesting part of this game because I don't think Sam Darnold's going to have any major issues. I don't think the Seahawks are going to have many slip ups. I think that team comes very prepared every week, more prepared than what we typically see with teams. And I think on New England's side, I think they're going to look good. I think their defense is going to have moments. I think their offense is going to have moments, but it's not going to be consistent. They're going to have sputtering. They're going to have quite a few punts. It's going to be that kind of game where they just can't seem to click and get it going, and mainly because they're just outmatched. They're simply outmatched across the board.
Okay, so I think we're pretty aligned on Sam Darnold will have a better game than Drake May, but I've got a question for you here, and this might be a good place to cap this episode. Who do you think will have a better performance, Drake May or Bad Bunny?
Oh, it's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Drake May. I don't think he's gonna be awful.
Oh,
I think he's gonna struggle, but he's gonna have some good moments, which is better than I can say from Bad Bunny. There's gonna be some good
yeah.
moments.
Okay. I thought you were going to go with the spicier take and take Bad Bunny just for the
No,
hell of it, but like it just depends on how much you believe in that Seattle
I
defense.
I didn't bite. No, I mean, look, that Seattle defense is good. But it's not like one of the greatest defenses I've ever seen. I think they're gonna give him difficulty, but this idea that Drake May's not gonna do anything is when I say he's gonna struggle, yeah, he's gonna struggle. He's gonna get sacked. Maybe he throws a pick. Maybe he has a fumble that he doesn't actually lose and they recover, like something like that. It's a little sloppy, but he's still gonna put up points. He's still like you said. Yes, I threw out that stat earlier, and I still think it's relevant, but he's a really good quarterback. He's not gonna just not show up and be awful in this game, but he is gonna struggle with a lot of pressure.
Fair. I'm with you.
Yeah. But look, big week. Big week. I'm sure everyone's pumped and excited. Super Bowl week. It's hard not to be excited and go crazy. I mean, look, I wish the Bills were in it, but it's nice to have a matchup of some interesting quarterbacks that I never would have expected to be in the Super Bowl. If you asked me a year ago who's going to be in the Super Bowl, would not have had either of these teams. Definitely wouldn't believe in either of these quarterbacks to even be elite this year. So I'm very surprised where we're at this year, but you know, I should also just mark that this is the the end of our first season of the QB Lab, and then after this, we enter the off season. We got a lot of exciting stuff planned. We're going to be talking history of quarterbacks, history of specific quarterbacks. We're going to be talking about all these kinds of details, fantasy football, reviewing how the season went. Zach and I will have a lot to talk about over the offseason, so don't worry. We're not going anywhere. Maybe a short break, but really, we love football. We talk football all year round. So subscribe, smash that like. We need the support. That's how we keep this show going.